Welcome to the Check with Joseki Tech. I'm here with Jared Chase, our VP of Marketing. And today we're going to talk about Joseki Tech's new marketing scorecard, what it is, how it works, and why it's such a powerful tool for modern marketing teams. So Jared, briefly, how would you define the marketing scorecard and why does it matter?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I think our marketing scorecard or our health check assessment is really a tool for marketing leaders to objectively evaluate where they stand across marketing strategy, marketing operations, and marketing technology. It's a tool that is another tool in the toolbox to highlight gaps and opportunities and also highlight successes and what organizations are doing. In terms of why it matters, I think it matters for a few reasons. I think one, in scorecards and health assessments, right? This obviously isn't anything new. There's a lot of benchmarking out there, but I think there's a few reasons why organizations benefit from this type of activity. I think one is, especially when it comes to new leadership or changing teams, maybe it's a structural change, an organizational structural change at companies. I think that's a great opportunity to take a step back and objectively assess what we're doing, what technology do we have, what are obviously our strategic goals, and are we prepared, right, to meet those goals, both from obviously a staff and talent perspective, but from a technology and application perspective, and obviously the operations aspect of truly getting the work done and executing on the great strategy that is designed and planned for each individual organization. So scorecards are helpful tools to take a step back and take a look at how is our team functioning? Are we covering all of our bases? Where might we have great opportunity to excel, and kind of how are we stacking up, not necessarily against direct competitors, but how are we stacking up just in general in terms of keeping up with the advancements that have taken place over the last 10 years as it relates to customer outreach.
So I think there's a lot of value in the scorecards. Certainly, the marketing leaders are facing a number of challenges. And what are some of those that you think this is really going to help them with?
Yeah, I think there are times when marketing leaders get, or build a team, right? And that team starts humming, and then all of a sudden 3 years go by, right? And, maybe it's not quite 3 years, maybe it's 1 year, maybe it's 2 years, right? But a set amount of time has gone by. And, oftentimes it's time for a new plan and it's time for a new assessment. Was the strategy that was laid out 2 years ago or even 12 months ago still the right strategy that we need today? And more importantly, the forward thinking leaders are looking at, hey, what do I need to prepare for over the course of the next 5 years, right? And do I have a roadmap in place for, obviously our strategic efforts, our operational efforts, as well as our technology efforts? And it's really critical to every 12 months or so, take a look behind the curtain, right? Look at your own program and make sure that you have the appropriate pieces in place to help you succeed and win in the market.
And why is this something that teams struggle to do like internally? Why is it so hard for people to really see what those gaps are just looking in their own mirror?
Yeah, that's a good question, Adam. I think, I was sort of kind of getting to that a little bit in the prior question, but when you run a program, right, and you're entirely invested in your program, sometimes you really have to kind of force yourself to take a step back and take a look, right? Was the program that was designed prior, right, the right thing? And I think in terms of why folks might struggle to do that internally, one is, you only know what you know, right? And so if your marketing operations team is excellent in the tech stack that you have right now, maybe that team isn't asking themselves the questions of, all right, what are other applications or technologies or AI features that we should be exploring for down the road, right? It's easy to kind of get stuck in what you know, which is why it's often beneficial from time to time to bring in an objective team or an objective tool like our health check assessment to offer some independent visibility and guidance in terms of your program. The other thing is that I think sometimes teams kind of normalize inefficiencies, right? Sometimes, hey, this is the way that we do things and this is working, right? And it might be working, right? But could it be 20% more efficient or could it be 20% better? And sometimes those small inputs, maybe it's not 20%, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10%, right? If you think about it from an operations perspective, if you save 10% of somebody's time through a better workflow or a more efficient process, those add up over the weeks and months of the year, right? And so I think even finding those small wins are critically important to advancing your program. It's easy to get stuck in a rut at the end of the day, Adam. I don't even necessarily mean rut, but it's easy to get stuck in a habit of the way the teams work. And sometimes you kind of got to be forced to think a little bit differently.
Yeah, I also think a third party coming in, it's real easy to challenge assumptions that you otherwise overlook because they're just
Yep.
part of your day-to-day rigor. And sometimes I think those sticking points can be things that are external to the immediate marketing team. So maybe they're using something in the promotions engine that requires them to jump through hoops on their side. And they don't stop to say, well, maybe we should go upstream and get that problem fixed for ourselves because it's outside of the domain they normally have control over. And I think a lot of times coming in with this third party assessment can really help internal teams to push on those to say, look, it's not just me saying I need this. I have third parties like reconfirming that this will really speed us along and help us move the needle.
Yeah, absolutely. An outside opinion is certainly helpful in those instances to help stitch the entire process together across the organization, right? Depending upon an organizational structure, sometimes there are, obviously there's silos that develop, right? And parts of the process may be under different leadership, right? And leaders A and B are doing a great job optimizing their flow, but sometimes that third party comes in, can kind of take a 50,000-foot view across departments, across teams, and help architect a better way of working for everyone, not just one single team or department.
So with all that, let's say we like the idea of doing one of these assessments. Let's talk about our specific framework. What's our basic structure? How do we approach this?
Yeah, so the way that Joseki Tech thinks about a marketing health assessment, we really break it down into three key pillars, right? And so each pillar of ours is supported by subcategories, and then each of our subcategories have a list of questions and topics to dig into to ultimately provide a category and then a pillar evaluation and score, right, with how strong teams are doing. And so across our three pillars, we have marketing strategy and activation, which is really about the entire campaign planning process, right? This is where we dig into customers' audience strategy. We dig into who are their core customer segments? How is the company identifying those segments? How are those segments getting into the campaign planning process? What does that look like? All of the appropriate journey mapping. We'll look at life cycle stages and the appropriate messaging across life cycle stages. We'll look at things like personalization, content planning, alignment across the organization, and then we'll dive into a channel mix as well. So within marketing strategy and activation, we have six key categories, which again are supported by a number of questions and topics to assess individually. So that's our first big bucket in marketing strategy and activation. And if we think about planning a campaign and then moving down the path to executing the campaign, our next big bucket or pillar of evaluation is marketing operations. This is where we dig into campaign workflow, usage of CDP tools and technology, but on the ops side, right, the executional side, how are the team using these tools? Are we using all of the features of these tools, et cetera? We look at what type of testing, experimentation, optimization is taking place. We look at how operations teams are how they're configuring reporting, right? Operations teams may not necessarily be the team responsible for performance evaluation and optimization, but they're critically important in configuring campaigns in the appropriate way so that they can be assessed effectively and with statistical significance. And we also look at team enablement, right, across the team, roles and responsibilities, how is work broken down, are teams encouraged to come up with new ideas or to test things, and who's responsible within the organization to really be pushing the limits of the operational responsibility set. So just to recap, we have marketing strategy and activation. We have marketing operations is our second pillar. And then our third pillar is marketing technology. And this is really where we look at all the tools that an organization may be using. How are those tools aligned internally? How is information getting from tool A to tool B? How are they integrated? The reason that we're looking at all these things is because the marketing technology needs to enable the marketing operations team, right? And one of the key things that we look at is the concept of data readiness. You know, are the appropriate data elements at the fingertips of the operations team to be able to execute against? And obviously, those data elements need to ladder up to the marketing strategy as well. And then, along with our marketing technology and marketing operations pillars, we take a deep dive into automation, right? What does automation look like within the tool set? Can we optimize this automation? Are there better ways to be leveraging technology and better ways to be configuring your automation just to ensure that it's seamless, collecting the appropriate information, storing information in the right place, and ultimately delivering a relevant experience for your customers? I know that's a bit of a long-winded response, but our health assessment is really three key pillars, about 4 to 6 subcategories under each of those three pillars that I've gone through. And then, 60 plus, 75 plus dimensions specifically that we dig into alongside client teams to really come up with a score that a client can do something with, right? That's the key piece, which I know we'll get into here in a little bit.
So it sounds like we get to a lot of detail there. How are we going to balance a lot of that fine level detail so we still have some high level insights that we can talk to senior leadership on, but also have some things we can execute on for immediate improvements?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because folks are looking to make change now, right? In addition to preparing for the future, right? And so as we go through and assess a customer's program, Joseki Tech is a hands-on partner and a hands-on team. We will dive into the specifics. We will get our hands dirty with your technology and really understand the lay of the land and how things are working. When it comes to our recommendations, right, we take kind of a two-phased approach with our recommendations, right? There are going to be quick wins that we identify that are going to be actionable much faster than, potentially a new CDP recommendation or a CDP integration or something like that, right? And so along each of our dimensions in our scorecard, we have short-term recommendations, medium-term recommendations, and long-term recommendations. So our customers are getting things that they can execute on right away that are going to have a positive impact on the program, inch it forward, and we will also include long-term recommendations. Another thing that we do with our scorecard assessment is that we provide our customers with a prioritized list of our recommended prioritization, which is going to be very well aligned with the customers' objectives and KPIs and their goals, right? Because we are very well in tune with our customers, and so you get short, mid, long-term recommendations. We'll partner with you on actioning what we can, depending upon our engagement, so that we can make short-term impact, gain momentum, right? It's also about credibility and trust building at that stage, and plan for the harder adjustments down the road, and get a longer term plan. And so our priorities are really based on what our customers' goals are, as well as, effort and projected ROI.
So we keep talking in terms of a scorecard. I think a lot of times people are used to getting a deck or some kind of, diagnostic report. Why do you think the scorecard is going to be a more useful format for us to talk to customers about these
Yeah,
actions?
yeah. I think that the short answer to that, I find, is that the devil's in the details, right? And we are looking to dig into customers' programs and find opportunity that is both easy and hard to execute, right? And when it comes to really providing actionable insights and actionable work that we want to execute against, we find the scorecard methodology really works because we can create a list of to-dos coming out of the assessment. We have a collaborative document that our customers are working off of, and we can track and measure performance and progress against our goals and objectives that we agree to. And so in short, we are a team that digs in. We pull up a chair alongside our customers and we work together on the problem. And so, sure, right, we have decks, we can present these, to executive level audiences, but we're really interested in getting the work done alongside your team. And we just find that this is a better, effective, collaborative tool to do so.
So, whom do you think is the right person for us to be having this conversation, and when? What would someone look like as sort of the ideal moment, an ideal customer for this kind of work?
Yeah, we're looking at, I mentioned our three key pillars, right? And so truly, the teams that kind of touch all of those pillars, right, are often marketing operations teams, life cycle marketers, right? So we're looking often at, kind of director level roles or VP level roles, right? Anyone who's responsible for the marketing operations CRM function in an organization is really who's going to benefit the most from this because it goes upstream to the marketing, the strategic marketers, and it goes downstream to the technology team and all. And marketing operations leaders know that it's not just marketing operations. You're not just an expert in the MarkOps domain. Sure, you're absolutely an expert in the MarkOps domain, but you also need to understand your customer. You need to understand the data behind your customer. You need to understand, obviously, the marketing goals and objectives that you're looking to achieve, and you're looking to make that happen through your technology and your operations excellence. And so we're looking, we often partner with just leaders of CRM functions, MarkOps, MarTech functions at an organization.
Yeah, I also think there's certain inflection points. So if there's new leadership and you want to use this as a checkpoint and find a good structure to review with your new leadership how you're organized and where you're soft and where you're strong, I think that makes for a good point. There's other clients we've talked to that, again, we keep saying like they're in a rut, but it's more they're finding that they're limited with their staffing, but they don't really know where to go next. And I think having a lay of the land, just a good audit of how things are written down on paper, can help them focus on, okay, this is where I need to be, like backfilling my staff or making sure I have redundancy in my teams so I can be ready really to move forward with the next steps in the growth.
Yeah, agree. And, oftentimes it's, just having another partner, right, that has experience in this area and has done this, right, can go a really long way. And as we said, that sometimes, not the rut perspective, but the hey, it's been a couple of years, maybe since I've been to an industry conference, and I need to understand, what's happened over the last 12 months, right? And so that's where we really can come in and partner and be supportive of a team, of a team's direction and help them get there. I will also say, Adam, is that, and you very well know this too, is that we're a team that's not going to shy away from the hard questions, right? And the tough discussions and the challenges that we feel are appropriate based on, where a company may be, right? And so the scorecard assessment is both, I think, an exciting tool, but it's also a strong look in the mirror. And and that's what we're here for, is to identify gaps and opportunities and help you through them. So I do agree that there are a lot of times and moments of a team's kind of life cycle where this really kind of feels like, okay, it's time to take an objective look. Team turnover is a great one, and also just teams that feel like they need an injection of curiosity, an injection of the latest thinking and technology, right? That's really a great time to engage someone like Joseki Tech for this type of effort.
Yeah, and once we get the scorecard done, what do things look like right after that?
Yeah. So once scorecard's done, right, we sit down and we walk through the results collaboratively. This isn't just a handoff doc where, right, we send it over the fence and our work is done and we move on. If right, we are really looking to partner with customers, not just on the scorecard piece, but also on helping them through and solve the gaps and opportunities that have been identified with it. Along with the scorecard output, the recommendations that we've already discussed and the prioritization of those recommendations will provide a roadmap, right, that highlights, rough timing and expectations relative to, realizing some of the quick wins. And, and if there's strategic changes that need to take place, we'll roadmap map those out too. Sometimes, right, scorecards kind of end there, right? If a company says, hey, thanks for the effort, thanks for the thinking, we got it from here, and that's great. And then oftentimes our customers are looking for a little bit more help, right? And they, after the scorecard is completed, we can also partner and support the customer on realizing the suggestions and the wins that we've identified. This is, where it comes to, hey, like I need an injection of support right now to kind of tackle some of these quick wins. Like, can you come in and help us out with either hands-on keyboard execution or even marketing strategy and thought leadership when it comes to journey mapping, right? And so as a full service consultancy, we're here to support clients and wherever they need. And oftentimes there's a continued effort post scorecard where we develop a working relationship and help our clients through these challenges.
So this is all sounding really good. So if some of our listeners had one takeaway from all this, what are you hoping that they get?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they take the leap, honestly, whether it's through Joseki Tech here to help you, or whether you are thinking through, a type of assessment on your own. Like, I really encourage folks to, if the time is right and you haven't done an assessment on your own program across these key pillars that I've mentioned, I really encourage customers to act and take a leap, right? And and to evaluate their own program, and create that roadmap, right, to work yourself through the gaps and opportunities that you've identified, right? If it's been 12 months or 2 years since you've done an activity like this, I suggest it's time to go again. But that's really what I want folks to get out of it. A health check is a objective assessment. It's going to help you. It might be uncomfortable a little bit at times, right? But that's okay. That's all growth in my perspective, in my opinion. I think another big benefit of going through this process is it really shows forward thinking to internal leadership, provides you an objective scoring methodology to share, in addition to benchmarks that you may be paying attention to, in the industry. I think benchmarks are another really critical thing that everyone should be aware of in terms of how you might be stacking up against different industries, and obviously your same industry. But a health check assessment and the scorecard that we're referring to is going to be a stronger path forward because it's customized to your business, your goals, your strategy, your team, and you'll get more out of it. But I really think it's a helpful tool that will propel customers' teams, empower customers' teams, and ultimately deliver more for their customer and therefore the business.
So it's all sounding really good. And what are some of the ways to get in touch with us? Should someone want to
Yeah,
take that next step?
yeah, reach out to Joseki Tech. You can find us at joseki-tech.com. You can reach us on LinkedIn, both Adam Steidley and Jared Chase. You can find our LinkedIn page, Joseki Tech on LinkedIn. Keep an eye out for us on socials. You'll see us on YouTube and LinkedIn. And our emails are easy to find. So get in touch with Adam, get in touch with me. We're here to help you. We're here to challenge you, and we're open for business. So thanks for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.